Welcome to another episode of Mindful City, Tuning into Life, a podcast to discover and celebrate the many ways that our city is using mindfulness in our practical daily lives. Welcome to another episode of Mindful City, Tuning into Life. I am so excited today to have as our guest Alexa Carlin. And I am so excited because Alexa has been a true inspiration for me personally. I met Alexa a few years back when the Women in Power expos were happening in Fort Lauderdale when the first one was created. And I've seen the expo grow to big cities, and you continue to inspire women entrepreneurs, and not just women entrepreneurs. I think also entrepreneurs who want to see women really grow and really come into themselves and their own power. And so I've met Alexa there, and she continues to inspire me. And specifically, which I'm sure we'll get into when we start chatting a little bit, during this pandemic, Alexa has been one of the female leaders who I feel have continued to sustain entrepreneurs through this pandemic. And I know that the pandemic has really affected entrepreneurs incredibly. And so I'm so delighted that you've been able to take some time out of your schedule to chat with us about the amazing work that's happening in the world of entrepreneurs and the world of inspiring women. And so I'm delighted to welcome you to the show, Alexa.
Well, thank you so much. That is so kind of you. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So just as an introduction I was sharing with Alexa earlier that I am not so good at doing introduction, and I feel that you could probably tell your story much better. And you have an incredible journey on how you even became an entrepreneur, and then to create this incredible platform for female entrepreneurs. Would you share with us a little bit your story and how this all began?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was young, starting my first real business at the age of 17. And I just fell in love with turning an idea into a reality. And since I can remember, it's always been my mission to make a difference in at least one person's life every single day. So I saw entrepreneurship for me was that vehicle to make a difference in one individual's lives every single day. So that just drove me and drove everything that I did. And all of my ventures have had a social component, so a give back component. My first business, I was donating a percentage of proceeds to help build schools in Africa and help villages become self-sustainable through education. My next business was a blog that had the mission to instill confidence in young girls and women, and that garnered the likes of Mark Cuban, Shaquille O'Neal, Steve Madden, Rebecca Minkoff, and so many other amazing, influential leaders and celebrities. And that is when I really saw the power of social media and the power of using your voice and confidence. And I started to build up confidence through my journey of pursuing my dreams and learning the skill of confidence. But then when I was 21 years old, I was still growing this blog. I was a senior in college. I had this crazy near-death experience where my body contracted some type of bacteria that got into my bloodstream, and my body went into septic shock. I was induced into a medical coma and given a 1% chance to live.
Oh, goodness.
It changed my whole life. Not only the experience in the coma, in the intensive care unit, in that state where, the doctors tell your mom, I have 24 hours to live. It definitely changed my life, but even more so 6 months after this experience, due to all the antibiotics that were pumping in my body for such a long period of time, I ended up contracting or being diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And that is chronic. There's no cure for it, obviously. And so It definitely was hard. Well, to say hard, it's like the minimum thing to say.
Exactly.
It's living with this invisible illness. It's living in fear. I mean, it was a journey from 20, I guess I was 22 now at the time, 22 to 26. In and out of doctors, in and out of hospitals. I was stuck at home for 8 months. So you can imagine that this re-quarantine state brought back a lot of post-traumatic stress for me.
Yes.
Brought back a lot of those hard feelings. And it was tough. I mean, it was very tough, but I allowed this experience, this obstacle to define me for a long time, waiting and waiting for things to change in order to go back into the world and do the things that I love to do. But 6 months goes by, a year goes by, and you realize that nothing's changing unless you do. And I stopped putting myself in that victim mindset, asking why this happened to me. And I began asking why this happened for me. And I went on this journey of curiosity to what may happen if I don't give up. And that led me to sharing my story as a speaker. And I really had a big passion around this. Yet when you pitch 60 people and 60 people say no to you or don't respond, it's like, how can I be a public speaker then? And that discouraged me for a long time, for a few months, until, that dream, it's still burning inside of me, that passion's still there. And that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own events. And so it started as small meetup group events under my blog's name, until I then started getting booked from other event organizers, and I grew as a public speaker. And through that journey, I saw a big need for women, diverse women, to connect and collaborate, because I would be speaking to all these different events, and they were very segmented off by age, ethnicity, or industry. And I thought, just, how much change can we create if we just connect and collaborate? Instead of just hanging around millennials, or people further along in their career, hanging around people further along in their career, like, we can all learn from one another, and we all gain different perspectives in that sense. And so that's when I had the idea for Woman Empower X. And it was really to bring together a community, because I know I was starving for a real community, and empowering one another to grow your dreams and to pursue them. And so we held the first event, which you mentioned was in South Florida. And then we grew from there. So since our first event was in the fall of 2016. So since then, we've hosted in Washington, D.C. for 3 years in a row, Fort Lauderdale for 4 years, Raleigh, North Carolina, our first one was last year, and Los Angeles, California, our first one was in February, actually right before the pandemic hit. So that's, it kind of all happened from a string of different events. I never set out to be an event planner, or even this idea just to empower women, but I do believe that your journey brings you to where you're meant to be.
You've shared so much that I want to go into from your story. I was like, I have to write it down just to get into that. But just from a spiritual perspective, looking at from an aspect of mindfulness, I could definitely see that the mindfulness that you had in your interactions with people, and how you set out that you wanted to help at least one person, a day. And just to begin with that mindset, I can only just see how that's exponentially grown, and that you get to do that so much on a larger scale at this point. And just to see mindfulness take its way, through and at work, that's really beautiful to watch. And I went to the first event. I still have the pictures, are still on Instagram if you guys want to take it out, take a look, and on Facebook. And that energy was palpable. It's the encouragement was there. There was a a camaraderie, if you'd say, not exactly what we use in female connections, but there was a camaraderie. There was a sisterhood in a way. And actually, the most beautiful thing that I got to see also were there were men there. It wasn't just women who came, and that, to me, that opened my eyes, because I really thought, yes, that's what I want to see, because it's not only women who should be encouraging women, to do that, but yes, we are empowering each other. And then another level of beauty that I got to see at the initial event was, as you mentioned, the diversity. And especially these days, I've noticed there's been many conversations about being more inclusive, more integrated, and especially in the wellness community, there can be quite a bit of segregation. And I really love how, what I've seen from all the events that I've already gone to, it was already naturally diverse in that way. And I know that a few people have asked you questions about that over the last few months, and I've seen, how you've addressed that. Would you like to just share briefly how did you create this diverse environment? Because is so appropriate at this time, and something for others to consider in what they're going to be doing in their business.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm going to be 100% transparent here, in the sense where it was not an intentional thing to do. For example, and why I'm saying that is because I never thought that it wouldn't be diverse. I never thought that we had to put, intentionally, we need to make sure our speakers are diverse. Intentionally, we need to make sure we're including different groups to invite them. No, we just did that because we were looking to empower as many women as possible. We're looking to create that connection and collaboration. I mean, that was the whole goal, as I mentioned in the beginning. It's every event I went to, it was so segmented off. It was so separated. And so we went in with, that was the reason I started WEX. So I guess you can say it was intentional, but it wasn't like in a sense where right now more and more companies are like, oh, we have to meet a certain quota. Like that shouldn't be what we are focused on. Because if we're always trying to meet a certain quota, that in itself shows that we're not there yet. That change is not made there yet. Exactly. We should all be on an equal playing field. And so we always saw it as that. We picked speakers because they were the best person to speak on that certain topic. And that naturally will bring out a diverse speaker lineup. That will naturally bring out diversity in your attendees. By speaking on different topics, bringing about different people, different perspectives. And so thinking more about it, it was really like the second or third event that I started to really recognize the pattern of what people were saying to me. So at events, people would always come up like, this is the most diverse event I've ever been to. Like, oh my gosh, your speakers are so diverse. Like every single type of culture is here. And really, like, especially our DC event, it is very, very diverse in attendance. And I again, like I see people for who they are, and I honor their culture. I honor their ethnicity. I honor where they came from, but I see their heart. I see their soul. And so it really didn't come to mind until more and more people started to say that to me. And then I finally caught on to that pattern of people are, that's how they're complimenting us. And I was like, wow, obviously there's something majorly wrong with every other event that they're attending. If that's like this main thing that stands out, right, about WEX. And while that is something I'm very grateful for, because that was my mission, and we were able to fulfill it, and we're going to continue to fulfill it. And so I think when it comes to transpired since, especially this year, let alone the last few months, it really needs to come down to this sense of how can we vulnerably and authentically connect people without putting a line down the middle?
Mhm.
And I think right now, a lot of the conversations are separating us more. And
Yes.
it's very sad to see that.
Yeah.
And we need to have leaders that are courageous and vulnerable enough to speak up and really be vulnerable in how they feel, and to everyone step back and really see the big picture of what's going on, and see what conversations are we having that we're trying to create that change, yet how are they doing the opposite? Because I think that's been the biggest thing I've seen, these conversations or these movements online that are actually doing the opposite from what they intend. And it's not a bad thing because the intention is there, but we need
Mhm.
to really figure out how can we do something that works.
Well, that actually brings me right into something else that I wanted to ask you, and that is your relationship with social media is not the same experience that everyone has had, and I know that there's obviously a bad rep when it comes to social media, but there's so much good that's also happening with social media and the way that it can be used, and especially your story even on how this came to fruition, because social media has a huge impact right now just for an influence, and that is something that you speak to so beautifully. Could you talk a little bit about your relationship with social media and how you would encourage entrepreneurs now to use social media for the best benefit for their business?
Yeah, I mean, social media really has been a blessing in my life because when I was really sick, and I was stuck at home, I got on Periscope, which was one of the initial live streaming platforms early on, and I was able to connect with people, and I was able to build a community from my bedroom, and that helped me feel motivated to get up every day. That helped me feel like I wasn't so alone on this tough journey. And it, I mean, essentially saved my life because it was very easy to just not to get up and live in that pain. And so for me, I have a deep connection with it because of that, because I do see that my dreams, the platforms, like, they help me connect with the world and not feel so alone. And so with social media, I know like everyone's talking about that Netflix documentary that came out and how it's really taking up a lot of our time in the negative sense. It just comes back to, again, your intentions behind it.
Mhm.
Um, are you intentional with your time on social? Are you using it to grow your dreams? Are you using it to support other people? Or are you using it to numb your feelings or to pass the time because you're procrastinating or you don't want to deal with real world situations? So again, that comes back to every time you get on social, think of your intentions for getting on it. And I think that's what's helped me not feel so burnt out around using it for my personal life as well as my business.
If you had to give one line or one pointer, let's say one pointer to those who are just getting onto social media or have not been able to really find their way in representing themselves on social media, what advice would you give them?
That's a good question. I would say pick one niche topic to focus on and go all in on that and only post about that. And for example, if you are multi-passionate, which most people are, especially entrepreneurs and creatives, you may be passionate about sharing personal development stuff, yoga stuff, wellness stuff, finance stuff, whatever it may be. Just pick one and get really niche on it. So instead of just picking the broad topic of wellness, pick yoga or pick mindfulness or your money mindset, right? That's even more niche. And just start posting about that, using hashtags around that, and then connecting with other people online that talk about that topic, because that's what's going to help you rise up and rise above the noise much, much quicker than if you were trying to post about everything under the sun. Because now people are going to come to you for a specific type of content. Then as you grow your following and your network, then you can expand to maybe other things in wellness or other things about mindfulness, whatever it may be. But the more niche you could be in the beginning, the faster you will grow.
Mm-hmm. During the pandemic, I've actually really admired how you kept entrepreneurs encouraged during this time. A lot, and I mean, just close friends and partners and people that I've known have been affected. Incredibly, our business is completely changed. And what have been some of the issues that have been addressed to you, and what are some of the tools that you've been sharing with entrepreneurs to keep them encouraged during this time and to get themselves back on track, or a new track, I guess? It's not the same track anymore, but to get them going.
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot actually with TikTok and now Instagram Reels. And I think that's definitely, I know it's helped my business, but it's definitely resonated well with entrepreneurs during this time, because the short form video is just enough to give a actionable take home. But it's also engaging and it's also easily consumable. And so I've been putting out, since the pandemic really started, videos on the daily, really 15-second videos on TikTok, and now Instagram Reels, that are focused around either shifting your perspective and mindset or some one tip around still going and growing your dreams and your passion. And so it's just finding new ways to connect with people. And the reason I think these resonated so well is because you see me, you hear me, whether it's that has music to it or not. They're bite-sized bursts of motivation, inspiration, empowerment, that can really alter your perspective on your day. So if you see it at 12 p.m. and you've been having a bad day, and then you're scrolling through TikTok, it's going to deliver to you what you're interested in based on the algorithm. So the videos that you watch, it's just going to deliver more content like that to you. So my content is being directly delivered to people who actually need it and want it. So that's super helpful. And then you come across one of my videos, it's literally 15 seconds long, and it shares one quote or one, just again, motivational message. That's like, wow.
I've really been enjoying those.
There you go.
Yeah, I've been enjoying those very much. And, now actually, as entrepreneurs are figuring out how to change their business and how to do that, and you were just talking about connecting and creating relationships. Of course, one thing that I will miss this year, as I would normally get ready to come to the event in Fort Lauderdale. But there's no fail, because your mindset has always been resolution oriented, and you're definitely before the trend kind of a person. And so there's going to be some actionable tools that are going to be presented to us. There's resources. And so the event is going to be virtual this year. Would you tell us a little bit about what's planned?
Definitely. So we're hosting the first WEX virtual on Saturday, November 14th, and it's 100% free to attend. And this event, we made it free because we really just want to reconnect with our community and reconnect with the energy that we should finish off 2020 with and go into 2021 with. I know you mentioned even in the beginning, like that energy from WEX, it's what keeps you coming back every single year. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's in person or virtually, we're going to bring all that energy to you. So you not only feel empowered, inspired, but reconnected to your purpose, reconnected to what other people are doing in the world. And you're going to feel motivated just from that. And then also provide you with action steps that you can go and take and implement into your dreams, your business, whatever you are pursuing. And so we have a great lineup planned. It's, again, virtual from the comfort of your home. And we're really excited to just reconnect with everyone.
Yes, thank you so much for offering that, because I've invited many friends before, and they're all in different cities, and so I would just always send pictures of the event or try to share tools that I've picked up from attending to events. So I'm excited because this time they get to see, what I've experienced. They get to actually be a part of it and take some tools home with them. Before we close, there was something you shared really in the beginning of when we started chatting today, that you wanted to see dreams come into reality, and that there's this idea, because the entrepreneurs have so many creative ideas going, that it's hard to hone in on one and making that dream a reality. And I was wondering if you had any encouraging words that you would leave our entrepreneurs with today.
Yeah. So I will first say that if you have a dream, a passion that keeps you up at night and wakes you up in the morning, it is there for a reason. Do not ignore it. And when you're looking to take action and you may feel overwhelmed with your ideas, overwhelmed with trying to figure out what to do, overwhelmed with what's going on in the world, know that the number one thing that beats overwhelm every time is action. And so I highly recommend taking one action step a day. It could be as small as reaching out to one person or getting your Instagram set up or whatever it may be. It's going to help you feel more confident and empowered to keep going and keep taking those action steps. And when you're unsure of what idea to pursue, I always kind of go by this rule of 3. Pick something that you're passionate about, that you are highly skilled on or have a talent in, and that the market needs. Many times, if it has all of those 3 things, your passion, your talent, and market need, you're going to be successful with it.
Alexa, thank you so much for taking the time during already incredible times to sit with us, to break the steps down for us and give us actionable tools, and an event coming up where we can learn more and continue to connect and relate to each other. And so I really do appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of your support.
Thank you. To find out more about what Alexa Carlin and Women Empower X are doing to empower women with tools, knowledge, and community to start, grow, and scale their dreams, search Women Empower X on social media.